Shares of Rivian are down 64% this year, but this automaker may have more upside than any other company in the EV space. Let's get into why. Let's start with the highlight numbers from the most recent quarterly report. That's the second quarter of 2022. 98,000 vehicles have been ordered. That's up from about 90,000 last quarter. So they're making 4,000 vehicles a quarter at this point, adding to the backlog. That's really good news. That 100,000 EDV order number, that's from Amazon. They made that order a couple of years ago. So that remains constant. They've only delivered a few of those vehicles, but 200,000 orders in backlog, that's going to get them definitely through 2023 and maybe beyond. So I think that's really good news. The other number to highlight here is the $15 billion in cash. So Rivian thinks that they can both complete the expansion at their current Normal, Illinois facility, as well as build out their Georgia facility that they just broke ground on. That'll get them to over 500,000 vehicles a year in production capacity. And they think they can do that with the cash that they have on hand. The production numbers aren't big, but they're looking okay. In the first quarter, Rivian produced 2,500 vehicles. That was up to 4,400 vehicles in the second quarter. Now, management said that they still expect to deliver 25,000 vehicles this year. The supply chain is the biggest challenge there. They're working through a bunch of issues and expect to add a second shift by the end of September. So they're on the right track. The numbers still aren't very big. We want that to go up. But given all of the supply chain challenges that we've seen across the board in the auto industry, I think we're starting to see some positive movement from Rivian. The other product to look at is their delivery truck that they've developed for Amazon. This is that 100,000 unit order I highlighted earlier. Rivian is making fleet management software called Fleet OS. I think this really could be a differentiator for them. They're building on a common platform, and as they deliver this vehicle and software to more and more customers, I think this is something they're going to really be able to add value to. This is the kind of software that delivery services aren't going to want to build themselves. So they're going to put it off to a company like Rivian. I think that really could be a tailwind, and it's a recurring source of revenue. So that's great news in the auto industry. As solid as the momentum is here for Rivian, there are still some questions. Can it reach 25,000 vehicles produced by the end of the year? We're going to know that pretty quickly. So that we should know the answer to by January or February at the latest. Will production ramp up ahead of the Georgia plant that is expected to open in 2024? That's a big jump in production, 25,000 to 500,000. That took a really long time for Tesla to do, and that's really the only company that's been in a similar boat to Rivian. And is there going to be demand for 500,000 trucks and SUVs that cost $90,000 or more? That price number keeps going up for Rivian and for other automakers. With a recession potentially here at the very least on the horizon, consumer spending is under pressure. That 90,000 number is really high. Ironically, Rivian may actually be in a pretty good position with very low production in this recessionary environment. That could position them to grow out of this as the economy starts growing again. Remember, Tesla was in that situation in 2008, 2009 when we were in a recession. They had very few vehicles being produced every year, but they were able to grow over the next decade. Maybe we'll see Rivian do that as well. So what's ahead for Rivian stock? Well, the company's market cap is $33 billion today. I highlighted that they have $15 billion in cash. Now, we wouldn't make a value investment based on that cash basis alone because they're going to spend a lot of that money building out their production facilities. But given their market that they're in trucks, SUVs, and delivery vehicles, I think this could be a really high margin business. Add in the software piece of it, and they could have margins that are approaching what Tesla has in kind of those mid 20% range. I really like that as a business. In the auto industry, there's a lot of legacy costs, and Rivian doesn't have any of those to bump up against. So we could see this be a highly profitable business, but it probably won't be until the back half of the decade. It's going to spend the next few years building out capacity. So keep an eye on how that growth rate goes. And do people get really excited about these vehicles? I think that's really going to be the biggest question for them. Can they add to that backlog of 200,000 vehicles and get that to more like 500,000 or a million orders? That would be really impressive. That would give further upside. I think this is a pretty decent value as far as an investment goes, but there's a lot of questions left to be answered long term.